Fergie. And welcome to Box Mania, Board Game Box Mania, Episode 3, How to Build a Board Game Box. So welcome to the third episode in my series of how to make, or how I make a board game box. Whether you like it or not, I don't know. You might not like the way I do it. Anyway, so I've done an introduction and I've done a video about the tools and materials. And now we've come to the point where you decided you want to make a board game box. Now, why would you make a board game box? Generally, I would make it. You might have different reasons. I would make it to save space. I've got very little shelf space in my house. It's at premium, it's full up. So I made my board game boxes smaller, so I can get more games, because I can't help it. I just want to buy more games all the time. So what's the process when you want to think about to make a board game box? Now I'm going to take you through the whole process from start to finish. Now the first thing, let's get the game. So the El Grande big box. Why do I want to make a box for this? Because this box is blooming massive. It's huge. And I know, because of the components inside, that I can get it into a much smaller box. Now it's one thing making a smaller box and fitting all the components in it and getting it down as small as you can. I mean, you could get it down really small, and you know, I will probably get this down to half the size of that, less than half the size, maybe quarter the size, I don't know, whatever. But there's various things you need to take into consideration. As I say, it's easy to get the components. Well, it's not easy, but you know, there's one aspect is getting the components and the size of the box small. But when you're doing a box like this, which is a big reduction in size, it's not quite so important when you're just reducing the height. So let's say you have a game like Puerto Rico and the box is going to be the same, have the same footprint, but it's going to be smaller, thinner. It's not such a worry. There's still things you have to think about before doing anything. But when you're doing a big reduction in size like this one, you've got to think about, how am I going to get the pictures of this box, the big box, to fit on my little box? And is it going to even be possible? It's, you know, it's a real consideration. It's a real consideration for me. Now you could, I mean, I will cut this box up. Usually, I've yet to come across a situation where I can't make it work and I can't get the things on. There was a couple of times when I thought about doing, say, King of Tokyo, because, you know, what King of Tokyo box is like, that's not a very big box, it doesn't really matter, but I knew that I could get King of Tokyo in something like that. But the problem with putting it into something like that was the words on the side of the box, King of Tokyo, were too big for it, and I didn't know how to make the box look nice. Because there's one thing, I've taken a box down for the practicality of space and pieces, but you still want it to look nice to some degree. So some of the boxes I've made I think look better than the original. Some look worse, but they don't look too bad. But I want them to look nice. So you really have to, before you do anything, you have to consider these things and think about what is it going to look like? Because at the end of the day, I'd get the joy out of having the small and the tight components and that, but I want it to look nice. I don't want to just write El Grande on it in an indelible pen. Even though you could. Because what difference does that make? It's the game that matters, didn't it? it's not bloody what it looks like, but you know, I like nice things, and it's a shame to chop up a nice looking box. Not that I think this one's that nice, but it's still nice. Just for you know, might as well bung it all in the shoebox and not even bother making a box. So, I've got these considerations now. You've got two considerations you've got to think about how it's going to look. You've got the top and you've got the sides. Now, you can't consider the sides until you've done some working out with the components to work out how high it's going to be. But you can consider the top. And I can consider the top easier now because I've decided to build my boxes to you know, for standard sizes. You know, there'll be the odd exception every now and again, but I used to make boxes and get them as tight as I could and then make the picture to fit, and all the boxes were different sizes, and that's really annoying. Like really, really annoying. Hate it. So I've got a standard box size. I've got a Euro kind of standard box size, an A4 size, and then there'll be the Ticket to Ride square ones. That, you know, a certain size for that. And this is my slightly bigger one for ones that have kind of big oblong boards. Because at the end of the day, it's either the boards or the rule book that is going to decide what your footprint is on the size. So, oh God, it's heavy. So that is what I'd use. Don't know if you can see it. Let me check. I've always got to check these things. Just about, because I can't turn the camera around and have it so I'm looking at myself. It's wrecks my head. So this is what I use as my standard big box. The heights will vary between them because this is quite thick, because I've got expansions in this power grid box, so it's quite big. So, you know, I'm not thinking about the height, I'm thinking about this footprint. Forgotten what I was going to say. Now, yep. So, I've decided on this size as a standard size. This isn't relevant to the El Grande box, but I thought I'd mention it now. Because you get quite a lot of different sizes of sort of big boards. You know, like there's power grid size, which is this size, and then you get quite a few that are, you know, just sort of that size, you know. So think of something like the old Java board, or yeah, it's not dead of winter, I know, but you get different sizes. So I've chosen the bigger end of that to be my standard size, because if I get a board that's not as big as this, but it's still too big for the other ones, then so be it. I'll just have to have some wasted space, which goes against the grain of what I was trying to do originally, but I'd sooner have the boxes look nice on the shelf. So I know that's my standard size. So what I do, this is just the first thing. This is, again, you don't have to do this, but I do it for my peace of mind, because I'm thinking of the end product right from the start. So I made a frame which is slightly smaller. It's 6mm smaller than the size of that lid of the power grid box, because I need some black around the edges. I can't go right up to the edges because it doesn't work. And so I can put this on here and I can think, am I going to be able to make this look nice? And for a long time, because I've been thinking about doing this box for a long time, and I thought I wouldn't be able to get this looking nice because I wasn't thinking in terms of a standard size box. I was thinking of making it to the size of the board, because when it comes down to it, the board is the overriding factor on this, and the board, like I said, is going to actually be quite a bit smaller than the power grid box. And so, you know, I looked at this and I thought, you know, how am I going to do this? Because if I cut it, this is all going to get cut in half. I'm going to lose these bits at the top. It's just going to look, awful. And so I've always been worried about it, and I knew that I could get the thing thin, and I'm worried about what I can do with getting these, because this is quite thick, and if it comes in the end of the day, if I get restricted by these and the box, and I have to make the box a certain size in order to fit all this stuff in, or the picture, there's no point making the box anyway, so it's not going to be that much smaller. It's only the point of making the box is to reduce the size of it. So you have to think about all these things if you want it to look nice, and it's a vital thing, and you could spend ages, and it's worth spending the time, and you have to think about the sacrifices. So I do this, and I actually think, right, that's not actually too bad. So it's always a shame when you do this, because I'm going to lose this border, and the borders always make a box look nice. But because I'm making it slightly smaller than the lid, I'll still have the black border, because the boxes are black. I'll have a black border around the edge, so it might be alright. But what I'm going to do here, you see, I have these things here. If I actually cut those out with this, I'll still be able to get some semblance of it looking alright. I can get the name, include 6, I can get all the wording, get most of the picture. I've got 3 issues. 2 issues. 3 issues. 2.5. I've got this loop that's going to go off and come back, you know, on the original it's going around. I mean, kind of a bit weird anyway why they do that, but so that's one issue. I've got this D, which is what's causing me the problem on the side as well, and I've got the Z-man, and I've got the Z-man problem there, because that's cutting out in half, the Z-mar. Now, there aren't any real solutions I can see to this. Thought about it. Not sure. I might be able to correct the Z-man. I might actually be able to cut corner out and put that Z-man on the top. Or, you know, it's worth thinking about, because if I'm cutting this up, sometimes I can use the bottom. Now this one's got loads of adverts in it. I really like making Queen game boxes, reboxing, because the bottoms have all the same things as they have on the top, and quite often they're smaller and different sizes. It gives you flexibility. And you've got stuff like this, I can't use any of this. It's all used about different games. Even though it's nice to have this, tell you who's in it. I mean, I like that. There's nothing else I can use on this box, unfortunately. There might be something on the back. But at the end of the day, I'll probably worry about that more when I come to actually do this. That, I just got to live with it. Just got to live with that. That will probably be alright. I know it doesn't have an ending. Well, you know, again, right, this is where I can, so it's where this frame's great. What happens if I go up here and I take out that Z-man frame? And then suddenly I get these in, but I get this blue mark at the top. What happens if I come down here and keep that little frame in? What happens if I keep the 2 frames in, then I'm losing a bit of the lettering? What if I come this way, I'm losing the lettering? What if I come down? What if I actually come down? Nope. You know, you go the right move this around, you know, and then you might as well actually, let's try something radical. What happens if I go here? You know, what's that going to look like? What's that going to look like if I go right to the edge of the box there? And you know, you would muck around with these things. Now, I'm going to take my time in this video, because I know already that that's what I'm going to do. I know already. But there's no harm showing that it's worth mucking around. That's why you make this frame, because, you know, it's worth thinking, because I might be able to put it that way round, and you know, I might find a way where it actually looks quite good, and I might end up with a bit of space down the bottom, but I might be able to dig something else out of the box and put it there to fill that space up. You know, because you don't necessarily just have to put one bit on the top. You could put, you know, a selection of different bits on it, you know. You know, and then it would kind of be worth considering, you know, could you actually cut it out, you know, and make it kind of weird? Who says it has to be square? There's a lot of consideration that can be put into these, but I've looked at this box for a long time already, so I kind of know the problems, and I get the problems with these squiggly bits and this and that. Is, you know, it's very hard to cut, you know, these, it's all very tight, and I know there isn't really another solution, but there's no harm just doing this again, because maybe I'll see the light and it'll be like, wow, I can do that. But I'm not going to do this till, you know, right at the end after I've made the box anyway. So, you know, think about it now, and then when I come to actually do the box, I'll probably think more, you know. So at the end of the day, I think the best thing is to get rid of all the borders, get as much of the picture in, live with that, maybe change that, and live with that. That's my friend trying to ring me. He did that in the last video. He's playing Alchemist up in Dublin. He keeps insulting me because he's a young... I've known him since he was a kid, and he loves taking the mick out of the old duffer who's losing his memory. So, that's kind of what I'm thinking of doing there. But I'll probably come back to it. But it just shows you what you can do with a little frame. It's worth having that. And I've got that for whenever I make a standard box size. I can get this out and think about it. Apart from I'll lose it. I know. Let's just put it somewhere safe. Right. That's that. I've given that some thought. I haven't thought about the sides. Do that later. Do that later. Because I have to work out how deep the box is going to be. So we take that out, and then we look at, right, what we got in here. We got the stuff, we've got the boards and the wallpaper. So at the end of the day, you find the biggest one, biggest bit, is the board. That's what's going to dictate the size of your box. Now, in the past, I would have taken that and I would use those dimensions as the size of my box. But I'm not really prepared to get this power grid box out again. Right, this is the power grid box. But I'm going to put it in this standard size box, which is unusual, and so you can see I've got a lot of spare space, which goes against my grain to do that, to waste all that space. But I think it's worth it. I'll sacrifice that, because at the end of the day, when you're saving the space on the shelf, this footprint doesn't make that much of a difference. It's the depth that eats up your shelf space. It's the thickness of the box. Sure, that is quite a lot, but I'd sooner have it in a standard box. That's just the decision I made, and I'm looking at it now and I'm thinking, but then, you know, if you actually move that over and put it in the middle, it doesn't look quite so bad, does it? And you always need a bit of space at the end to be able to get your fingers in. So you always need 2 centimetres at the end there to get your fingers in. And that's 3 centimetres, so I'm only actually going 1 centimetre longer than I need. And just out of interest, am I going here? 1.5. 1 centimetre, 1.5 centimetre. What's they can do? Change the world? Don't think it's going to worry anybody. But yeah, it's a big damn box, that one. Kind of goes against the grain to try and save as much space as possible and then put it in a bigger box than you need. So, now, what I would do now is I will use this and try to work out the depth that you're going to use, and trying to work out how to lay out your components. It's really hard. It's really hard. It's really hard to know where to start. It's really hard to know what to do. And the way I do it is kind of, you know, there's no set way to do it. I just kind of fiddle around until I get something that I think's right. And there's probably a better way of doing it, and I probably should spend 10 times as long as I do trying to work it out to try and get it perfect. You've got to work out your own way. But I'll show you kind of what I do. I mean, I have kind of sort of worked out what I'm doing here, but for the sake of the video, so what I'm doing. So the first thing, right, I'll get out key components. The Castillo, that's massive. That's a real key component. What I've got a load of cards. I've got some bits and a load of expansions. Can you see that box? Sorry. Yeah. So I look at all that, and right, so that's the first thing I see. It's a big thick deck of cards. I'll have that, because that's going to govern something. Here, look, there's another thick deck of cards that I sleeved. My friend Jack, these are sleeved because my friend Jack, who, you know, he does really dirty work, and he always comes to play his games, got filthy hands. He trashed my yellow cards, made all the edges black in one play, trashed them. Anyway, I talked about that in another video. So there's that, which is a similar height to that, especially if I squash them down, because I make the lids quite tight. That'll get squashed down. And nothing else is as high as these, except the Castillo, which is massive. You know, like, look, let's move these out of the way. Do all this kind of stuff. But if I put the Castillo in there, by the time you got the box, like my boxes are thick, they're 4mm thick. So you've got to add the bottom of the box and the top of the box onto that. You've got to add 8mm. It's almost the same height as this box. And then with that footprint of the lid, I'm not going to save any space at all, am I? Save a few crumbs. So that's an issue straight away. So that's easily solved anyway. So I think, okay, I'll deconstruct that and I'll set it in like that. That looks better, doesn't it? Not something I'd like to do, because if you're taking this apart and putting it together, it's likely to wear fast if you play a game a lot. It's not something I particularly choose to do, but in this case it's worth it. And I think, well, if these things get trashed, or if that gets trashed, I'll just make one. Or, you know, I mean, it'd be easy enough to make these out of a bit of grey board. Anyway, so I think that. And so, you know, so already I'm thinking, right, okay, let's have a look. The Castillo is higher than that deck of cards. It's higher than that deck of cards. These are quite big. I'm obviously not going to put them in that way, they're going to go in that way. What have we got for them? What kind of height have we got for them? Okay, that's alright, that's no higher. And I look at the components and I think, well, there's nothing there that's going to get higher than that Castillo. So that's the kind of height that we're working on. Now, and so if I'm working on that height, now I've got to think of, can I get all these bits into this area? And so what I would do, let's have a look. So, you know, and again I'm thinking, you know, in my head I'm thinking we've got the base game and we've got expansions. So if I can, I want to keep all the base game bits together, so when you get the box out, you've got the base game there and the expansions are kind of separate. And not only are they separate, there's no chance of really getting them confused with what's in the base game. They're separate, and they look like they're separate. You know what I mean? Know what I mean? That's the first time I said that. Know what I mean? I say that all the time. I say you know quite a lot. I've got some really annoying habits when I talk. Sorry. Right, so I got that. So my thinking with this, and there's always all different options, because these expansions, you know, I look at this. This is a load of cards as well. You know, and pieces. You know, and this is cards with a few pieces, and this is cards with a few pieces. And normally when I make my boxes, I like all my pieces nicely in their own little compartments and all segregated and things like that. And you know, I'd normally kind of make something. So okay, here's a tray that you pull out for an expansion. But looking at this and looking at the amount of cards, I'm inclined to put the expansions in tuck boxes. I'll put these because they're only a couple of bits. So you know, so I'm thinking I'll put the expansions in tuck boxes, and I'll leave the base game out. And well, I mean, you know, I might as well put all the cards in tuck boxes because that's what I've started to do now. I like my cards in tuck boxes, and so like a good Blue Peter. Look, I made some tuck boxes. I've done it already. Tuck boxes is another video. I'm not going to show you how many tuck boxes here. Problem is I can't remember which ones are what. So I made a tuck box for these. So I put the cards in there and these tokens. It's no gay solution. It's a good solution. I don't really like the tokens rattling around in there. It's good for the cards, but not mad for the tokens going around in there. Right. Now I'm doing this, and I already know the depth now. Look, I think I'm going to the inside depth. That's what I'm trying to get, is the space that I need inside the box, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be the height of this board plus the height of the Castillo plus the height of the thickness of the rules. So all I'm doing now is I'm trying to work out whether, and I'm not going to fully work everything out. All I want to know is it possible to kind of get all this stuff in there? Is there going to be any problems, like not having enough space and all that kind of stuff? That's all I'm trying to work out. I'm not working out details because I can't work it all out, you know, to measure it and then, you know, draw a plan and do all that. I kind of, that's really hard work. Some people might like doing that, and if they do, I admire them. Not that anyone's ever going to do it, because no one makes board game boxes except me and people who make amazing ones, like out of wood, that are just, my boxes are just nothing compared to them. You know, some people just make incredible boxes. So why are you watching this? Go and watch them. Far better. So yeah, look, these tuck boxes are all muesli, packets of muesli. Now you can, sorry, I'm not even talking, I should be talking, shouldn't I? So you can see I've got some standard size. These are just cards. These ones are bigger because they've got these We've got these tokens in. Files, not tokens. And then I'm doing something here that really goes against my box making nerdiness. Is I'm going to put a load of pieces in there in a baggie. I kind of pride myself in not having baggies. You know, baggies are alright. I don't mind it, but I'm a bit slack there. So now I might So oh no, what is that off? That's the base thing, isn't it? Oh, thank God for that. That would have been confusing. I had to pause it and work out what cards they all were. So, tuck boxed all the cards. You know, is it possible to get? And now I'm looking at space saving. You know, can I put things on top of each other? Let's keep the base ones separate because I want all the base ones to be together, maybe. And now I'm kind of thinking about layouts. You know, is this all going to fit? You know, what if I put these up there? Or what if I, you know, stick them here? And just bucking around. Got the big knob can go in there. Couple of odd bits. They can just go anywhere. Right, this is the next major one. These are my pieces. When you've got tokens like this. Right, let's just get rid of this box. Cup of tea. Sorry about the time going on. That's the way it is. Give you a bit of patience. It's really hard now to try and work out how much space pieces like this will take up. It's really hard. Now, what I do have though, I haven't got many of them. I've only got a couple. I've got a little box here, just a scabby old box, which I think is the size of the bits I use in the La Havre box. I think that was one I made as a tester for that. But let's see, you know, how these pieces go in. And let's consider these pieces. So we've got the small, can't remember what they're called, caballeros or something. Caballeros, that's it, isn't it? So we've got the small caballeros, we've got a cube, and we've got a grande figure. Right, but they're nearly all caballeros. So, you know, in this stage I'd think about, do I want to make a little component tray where they're in one part, that's in one part, and that's in one part? I mean, if you had different components, I might consider doing that. So, you know, let's say in something like settlers, you got your settlements, your cities and your roads, and there's enough of each of those for them to each have their own compartment. I'm like that. But I think with these, because there's only two, I'll just bung them all in the same thing for ease, because I can see already, you know, I'm not struggling for space because there's all kinds of mucking around I can do, and the fact that I'm putting it on this board and the box is actually going to be bigger, so I've got plenty of play because the box is bigger, so I'm pretty sure it's all going to fit in. But is it really worth doing that, to put these in separate compartments? Nah. So, do they fit? So you bung them all in. And the best way when you bung them all in, then the two weird ones, you just chuck them on the top. You just tell people to do that when they put them away. Look, they fit. That's just really good fortune. That's nothing beyond total good fortune. And I tell you what, because I've kind of done this already, there's even more good fortune, is that I know, because there's 5 colours, I know, even though I've only got one box, I can measure it anyway. You know, it's 5 centimetres, I think. So it's 5 centimetres that way and and almost 6 that way. So there's 5 colours, so it's either 25 or it's 30. You know, I could put them in a block, but because there's 5 of them, I want to put them in a row because it's an odd number. If there was an even number, I would consider putting them in a block. There's so much to think about, man. I'm telling you, you know, you could spend forever doing this. And I know that with my escape box, I did a video about it. I spent hours and hours thinking about it, and it's worth putting this time in before you make your box, I think. If you're anal and fussy like I am, I think it's worth putting this time in. You know, it's up to you, innit? Do what you want, don't have to do what I want. In fact, don't do what I do. Do what you want. Just take what you like from these videos. If you don't take anything from it, it's fine. If you do it the same way, I feel sorry for you. Find your own way. Same as everything in life. You find your own way. Take the bits that fit you, bits you like. Discard some other bits, but don't forget them. Never forget the bits you discard, because maybe you're just not ready for them. Anyway, what am I waffling on about? So, I'm pretty sure that this is going to fit now. You know, so all I need to do, I've got some spare ones here as well. So I'm thinking, look, you know, that's actually not as high as the Castillo, and there's not that many spare bits here. And I'd quite like to keep the spare bits in the box. I don't want to put them in a box in the loft or something. So what I could do is I'd have my 5 trays of these, and underneath them I'll have one long thin tray with the spare bits in. That sounds like a good solution to me. I'll do that. Now, so I'm reasonably confident that I can fit all this in. You know, there's all kinds, you know, like I could muck around and say, right, okay, do I want to put those bits up the end, and will these, you know, as you say, I want to keep all the base game stuff together. You know, would that fit? You know, I don't know. But what I can look at this and I can see, because I've got space to spare. I've got a bit of height to spare because this is the highest thing, and there's various things that aren't as high as that. You know, I haven't got many loose pieces around, and I've got the extra space inside the standard size box. So I've got loads of options. So I wouldn't work those out now. I'd be confident that this is going to go in the box. And so what I'd normally do now is I would make the box, and then once I've got the box there, I've got the shell of the box, I'll start really thinking about how I'm going to do it, and I'll start making it up as I go along. I'll make a bit and offer it in dry without gluing it in to see how it affects everything, and I'll work out the details there. So I know that will fit in. So all I need now is I need to work out my height. So what I do is I get my rules, and I put the board on top, and I get my highest piece, which is a Castillo, and I measure it. I need my glasses. I can tell you what it is. It's 5.2 centimetres. So I know now 5.2 centimetres. I better write that down. So in my exceedingly unorganised manner, bits of paper, stuff written all over it, I'm putting the internal height. It's 5.2 centimetres. Now, sorry, I'm just having a thing with my mannerisms. I always go, now. So now I know the internal height is going to be 5.2 centimetres. Now from that I know that when I make the box there's going to be 4 millimetres under that. That's going to take it to 5.6 millimetres. There's going to be 4 millimetres over that, which is the lid, which takes it to 6 millimetres, 6 centimetres. But I know that my lid doesn't go right down to the ground. I leave 2 millimetres up. So I know the outside size of the lid is 5.8 centimetres. Now, what I would do, and I should have prepared this, and I'll put it in a later video. But what I do is once I've worked this out, I would draw two exploded diagrams, and I'll do it better in another video. And I do an exploded diagram like this. This is going to be the size of the thing I need to cut out. I'll do this more in the video when I come to cutting. These are the wall pieces because they're double thicknesses, and because I do lap joints, which I'll explain to you in a later video, they're different lengths and different heights. And I'd write everything down about everything there. But I'm not going to do that now because it's unprepared. It's going to look a mess. I'll do that and I'll do it better into the next on the next video. But I know now. Can't remember what it was now. It's 5.8, wasn't it? So 5.8 centimeters is what the outside of the height is going to of the box is going to be. Now I know that the bit of box that I cut out is going to be 3 millimeters all round. So that's going to be 6 millimeters difference. So 5.8 minus 6 millimeters. So 5.2 centimeters is going to be the height that I have for my cutout. That's not going to be in shot, is it? I know it's not. No. So let's just get rid of this. Toilet titillation. That's better. Now I've lost my ruler. This is so unprofessional. But this is what it's like when you do box hunting. You just got stuff everywhere. You know, this is reality. This is reality TV. Stuff everywhere. You dropping stuff everywhere. Oh, I dropped my pen. And now I'm trying to remember. 5.2. So I have 5.2 centimetres. I'm going to put my glasses on. And you get the steel rule. Now, I wouldn't spend too much time doing this, but it's just to give you an idea. You know, I might think, okay, 5.2. What have I got? Will I be able to use this? Now, I think that I could use this, which I didn't think I would be able to use when I thought about it before, and that makes me really happy because I think I can use it. But it's going to be a bit messy. I know it's going to be messy. And before I finally decide, I would have to have a think. I mean, I can see here, you know, I'm losing loops here. Loops are getting cut off. This is getting cut off here. Might be able to keep that in. Maybe I'm struggling there. That loop's a bad one. And so I think, are there any other solutions? One solution is to actually make the box bigger. So while I'm saying the box is 5.8 high, should I make it just that bit bigger in order to be able to get that on? No, my answer is no, because then that's starting to get to the point of the box is as big as this box. There's no point. So I really want to get rid of it. So before I make a final decision on it, this is always the hardest bit on the boxes, is this sides. It's really deadly. Really deadly. you know, one option which I haven't explored that much, and I might explore with this, is to go to a printer, get them to scan it, and get them to reduce it to a size that's good. But one thing I don't like about doing that is, you know, you'll probably get it on a bit of thin paper, or, you know, sometimes they do it on plastic, but it's still thin. Doesn't look so nice. The one thing I like about the boxes I make, and when you cut these out, is this gives it extra depth and extra height, and I really like that. But I suppose you could stick that paper onto, you know, onto here, onto a bit onto the back of some of this, and use it anyway. So that's one option, is to go to a printer. And so I did it on one box. I did it on my Princess of Florence box because I had a German edition and I wanted to get it in English, and I managed to get a sort of photocopy of or a print out of the English rules, so I used that picture. God, what a waffle. So I might still do that on this, but I do wonder if I can find a blue pen that's close to this, and if I can get up close to these, and I could just, with a very small bit of blue pen, actually wipe some of these out so it looks like it's ending. I might be able to make it look alright. It might look a bit crap from really close up, but it might look alright from a bit of a distance. You know, only fussy idiots like me might notice it. So I don't know. But one thing I do know is that I could do that. Whatever it is, it's something like that. I could do that. And I could use this stuff, even if it looks a bit rough. I can live with it looking a bit rough if it means I've reduced the size of the box by half. I can live with that. Every time I look at it on the shelf, I'll cringe. I'll go, ugh, don't know. But I can live with that. And I won't know for sure until I've done it. But what I'll do, and I'm not going to do it now, but I can make another frame which will be 5.2 high and the right size, and I can lay that on there just to make a final decision. And I will do that. I'll make a frame, you know, when we come to, once I've made the box and I've got everything in there and we come to cut this box up and put it on there, I will actually do that and see. But as it is, that's good enough for me to progress. And if it doesn't work, I'll work out some other solution. But to be aware, it's always the size, especially when you're doing big reductions. I'm reducing this by half, and it's the sides. It's the worst thing about box making. It's the thing that causes me the most grief. It's the thing that causes me the most unhappiness. Is the sides. And it's really annoying that this box at the bottom bit hasn't got pieces I can use, because if it had pieces I can use, then it's all right. I mean, you get, like, see, this is the interesting thing, and I'm not going to say, you look at this, all right, and that's a certain height, but on this side, it's actually smaller. You see, so I could just use these on two sides of the box and leave the ends free, or something with nothing on it, which I don't like to do, but it's an option. And this is where I like boxes where the other bit of the box has got these writings on, because they're quite often in different sizes, and so you could cut that up as well, and you could quite often come to a solution. I've got that when I've thought about the stronghold box, because I can get stronghold, I can cut that down by half, but the wording on the side of the box takes up the whole side. I'm thinking, God, that's just terrible, isn't it? But the inside bit, the wording's much smaller, so I can use the bottom bit. So much to consider, so much to think about. The fact I can use that, it's really interesting. Because maybe I could put that on one side. I could put the other one that's on there on one end. I could put this on the other side and this on the other end, and they wouldn't look as good. But it's I have this one that's the one on show. That's another option. I've done that on a couple of boxes. Like you know, I don't care how long this video takes, because you know, you could turn off now and I've given you all the information, but you know, like with my Puerto Rico box I showed, I've got one side like this. I mean, this has got a knobby bit out of it. That's another issue altogether. And I've got one side like this, that's got a knobby bit out of it. Again, this crap, I'm not doing that anymore. But that's the side I show. That's the side you see. So it doesn't really matter. Don't know. I'll probably put you right off box making, haven't I? You know, you're thinking, yeah, let's make this amazing box and then make it look crap. It's worth it for me because I need the space. Main reason I do it is to lose the space. Second one is I really enjoy doing it, and you know, and I love just looking and holding the boxes after I've made them. So I know what I'm doing. I've worked out. I've got my standard size. Now, just for your information, the standard size of my Power Grid box, which is my standard size, right? The box is 27 centimeters wide and 38.2 long. The height is always going to be different. And the lid I make 1 centimeter bigger in each side, so it's 28 wide and 39.2 long. And because the lid is going to be 4 millimeters thick, so you're talking 4 millimeters there and 4 millimeters there, so it's 8 millimeters of wall space taken. I've made it 1 centimeter longer with 8 millimeters of wall, so you've actually got 2 millimeters of play between the lid and the box, which is quite a lot. But when you make the box and you put masking tape on the joints to strengthen them, and you cover it in paper, and when you cover it in paper you get little overlaps, so you're talking double widthness papers, you're talking 4 thicknesses of paper, 2 thicknesses of masking tape plus thickness of paint. That 2 millimeters gets munched up, because not only, you know, because it's not 2 millimeters all round, it's 2 millimeters all together, so you've got 1 millimeter either side. Don't know. That's for a later video. That's details. I just wanted to tell you, just in case you wondered what size my standard box was. I've got a standard box size for my A4. I've got standard box size for all of them, but I'm not going to give you the details now because I'm not ready for them. I think that's it. So I've worked out it's going to fit. I've worked out my depth, and I know it's going to fit easily. If I didn't know it was going to fit easily, I'll spend much more time working it out on there accurately, just to make sure, because there's nothing worse if you make the box and you realise you can't fit everything in it. I've done that before. Thank you so much for watching. This was always going to be a long one, because this is one, it's always going to be a long video. This is one where you've got to think. This is one where you're mucking around thinking of that. It's not just action. Thank you. These videos are very long, I know. They're very boring. I waffle on, I know. That's just what I'm like. Sorry. Don't like them, don't watch them. If you like them, great. Goodbye. See you next time.